Another thing that I wanted to talk about today is games. I have been playing a lot of Cyberpunk 2077.
Test of a person's true value. Death. Facing it. Staring it down.
Johnny!
I got you.
A bit late on that one there, Tommy.
Yeah, I like to wait when games are done. I don't really want to play unfinished games at launch.
Or you could do what I did, and so I got the game on launch, and
Yeah, I remember.
because of how disastrous it was, CD Projekt Red gave me my money back, and I got to keep the game,
For
and
free.
so for free. And so then I sold the game because it was unplayable on
Yeah.
PS4. What I had it on.
I didn't want to get it at the time because I knew that the PS4 version was unplayable. I didn't really have like a gaming PC. But now I recently got a PS5 and I am slowly making my way through a backlog of games that I wanted to play for years. And one of these games was Cyberpunk. And I started it like last week and I have been obsessed with it ever since. I am in awe at this game.
City of Dreams! Ooh, I love this town. Love it like you might love a mother who popped you out on the steps of an orphanage once and now stops you to ask if you got a smoke for her.
And I am so glad that I experienced it for the first time now because there's still a couple of bugs here and there, but nothing major, nothing game breaking. And it's just one of the most immersive and incredible experiences that I have ever had in a game. And I'm only, I hope, halfway through because it's the complete edition with the DLC, which I think is really long. So I have a long way to go, but I cannot believe some of the stuff that this game does. So you played it after it was fixed, I guess, and you finished it. You played the DLC. What are your thoughts?
So I completed. I like I said, I got it on release, and it was unplayable in the sense that it would have just I could be playing it for 45 minutes, and then just during a cutscene, the screen went black and the PlayStation would shut down, and I'd have to reboot it, and you might have to go back to a bit of an older save. So it was really frustrating, and it was ruining the game at points, but. Honestly, I was just in the same boat as you. I was playing along through the story, and I was like, even though there's so many bugs in this is one of the best, most immersive games I've ever played. So I kept playing and I completed the campaign on my shitty PS4 version.
Yeah.
And I just didn't spend a lot of time doing all the extras because then, like I said, CD Projekt Red gave me a refund and then I sold the game and I bought it again once the updates had come out and I replayed through the whole thing, got the DLC, replayed through that not that long ago. Yeah, so I've completed both the DLC and the game. Absolutely loved it. Yeah, like you said, it is one of the coolest worlds I've ever seen created in a game. I love
Yeah.
all the world building is amazing. I became quite obsessed when I first watched it, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna look up the. I almost bought the fucking tabletop because it's based on a tabletop game, and I was like, I'm so invested in the world and the characters. I'm gonna buy because it's Mike Pondsmith who created it. He created the IP of Cyberpunk a very long time ago, actually. And I was like, I just want to get this tabletop, even though I never play tabletop games, because I want to find out more about this world. Like that's how invested it got me.
Yeah. It's just, and also what I wanted to say is I don't really like first person games, and even first person shooters are not really my cup of tea. But I was so um interested in the setting of the game that I kind of like decided to give it a go anyway, even though I'm more of a third person action adventure or RPG kind of guy. And I felt like at the beginning I was really kind of like trying to maneuver around, and I had some trouble with the camera in the first few hours, but once you get used to it, it's actually the best decision that they ever made to make it first person, because everything just feels like you are there.
Yeah, well, you
It's
are the main character. V is just a self insert for
it's
yourself, isn't he?
it's incredible the way, just like when Keanu Reeves comes into the picture and he's just looking at you and speaking to you. It's so cool, man. And the attention to detail, like, okay, so without going into too many spoilers, even though I'm probably the last person on earth to play this game, um
do
like
you
the
not know what happens then? Still,
uh towards the end.
yeah.
No, because I purposefully didn't pay attention to any of the. Well, I pay attention to the marketing material, but I never saw any playthrough of the games. I don't really want to do that when I'm planning on playing a game.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just want to
yeah.
experience it fresh.
And
Um,
I mean, to be honest, there's not really much spoilers you can do, because we have, there's like 5 or 6 different endings. So my experience will be different to your experience. I feel like that kind of final act of the story is probably where the game's in terms of its story is at its weakest.
oh, okay, yeah, I've
But I'm
heard
not
that.
not saying it's bad, but it's nowhere near as good as the setup and the build up of all the characters, for sure.
But I
Like
think
that first act.
I was in a conversation with Panam yesterday, and
Oh
she,
my god, I love Pan Am.
and she asked me something about like journey and like what's your goal, and I chose the dialogue option that was saying something along the lines of, it's not the destination, it's the journey. So like, I don't care if the ending is mid, if everything in the middle is just so breathtakingly amazing.
And to be honest,
um
the first time I played it through, I got probably what is the worst ending, and I didn't even realize I was doing it until it happened. And I
yeah,
was like, "Oh my god, what the fuck?" And I just had to reload my save and go back to that point and be like, "I don't want this to end like this way." And then I got my second ending, was what is considered the best happy ending, and I got that, and it was satisfying.
nice. Would you recommend playing through Phantom Liberty before doing like the ending, or do you think I should just do the ending, then do Phantom Liberty, and then doing the ending again?
Honestly, I think the way they have written Phantom Liberty into the game, it makes more sense to play it afterwards, narratively.
Okay.
Um, because obviously, you'll know this already. We're dealing with a ticking time clock, and Via's about to die. He's being
Yeah.
overtaken by this engram of Johnny Silverhand's consciousness, who's Keanu Reeves' character. Um, and the ticking clock is somewhat addressed in Phantom Liberty, and it's partly to do with that. So I think you can play it afterwards, you can play it somewhat during, and it still fits. I will say the DLC, the best thing about the DLC is it adds a new location to the
Yeah.
world,
Dogtown.
but the story is it's nowhere near as good as the original like story.
I mean, the
It's
story, some of the missions are definitely better than others. Like, I loved the subplot with Judy and the cyber psychos, and the how do you call it? The brain dance, all that concept of just like the dolls,
yeah,
everything with the underbelly of Night City, and everything with Panam and the outskirts of the town. uh, every mission, every storyline has a different vibe. You have like
yeah.
kind of like a noir-ish storyline with like Takemura and like what's going on there with the Arasaka
You
Corporation.
kind of have like the Tarantino heist vibes with Jackie at the beginning.
Yeah, okay, so let me start with Jackie, because well, let's start. We've been talking for like 10 minutes, but let me go back to Jackie, because that's another thing. Spoilers for people who haven't played the game, but uh Jackie was so heavily featured in the marketing material that I never for a second, when I was playing, thought that he was, not gonna be in the picture for that long. Like, I
Yeah,
felt like he was gonna be, oh, he's my chums, he's my buddy, he's gonna be in a couple missions, I'm gonna go to the bar with him, and but Then slowly, there's conversations about legends and how they become legends after they die, and slowly you
Oh
prepare for
yeah,
this
yeah,
heist, and he wants it so much, and I was like, oh, the game is so cheap for doing this. They want me to think that Jackie is going to die because he wants this heist to go so well, and something is going to go wrong, and I'm going to fear for his life. And it's so like, oh, it's so played out and cliche. And just the level of fucking detail that they put in this character is just insane. There's this sequence where I remember, like, that's when I fell in love, and it's such a small thing, but I was like, every time they do stuff like this. So when you go, like, you are planning the heist, right, and you go to meet with Deshaun and Evelyn Parker, right?
yeah.
Oh no, wait, sorry, it's Deshaun and the other the
Her name's
hacker
Bug, T-Bug.
hacker lady, yes. And you go meet with him to kind of like go over the plan, and and Jackie is very excited, but is also very nervous, and he sits next to you while you're talking to the Sean, and you can see his leg shaking, his twitch, like his leg is moving under the table, and he looks at you and he winks at you and is like, this is a cutscene. Like, I am living in a
Yeah,
real scene. Like, it felt so real, the way the characters move, the way they react to the conversation that you're having with them. Like, even minor characters, like I was having like I was doing a secondary mission with one of the, it's like this lady who wants to do car races across town. She's
yes,
like
yeah,
the, yeah, and the game crashed after the race, so I had to redo that section, which I didn't mind. But like when I got to I had to talk to her, and just for fun, I chose different dialogue options, and
yeah,
literally her expression changes. Like, she was annoyed at the thing that I said compared to the what I said in the previous conversation that we had. Like, she literally had like this, oh, like, rolling her eyes, and I'm like, you didn't have to do that, man. That's just overkill. I'm already so immersed in this game, and these people feel fucking real. So yeah, it's just a level of detail that I rarely see in games, and especially games like this, because like a more narrative driven game like a God of War, for example, you expect the presentation to be very pristine and very detail oriented because it's a smaller
yeah.
world. But
But
like with,
you expect to lose that in a big open world game. A lot of those details.
and you don't even minor, like, you can feel like that there's less polygon on like a secondary character compared to Judy or Panam or Jackie, but they all feel real, they all feel authentic, they all have great voice acting. It's just so, I don't know, man, it's incredible. And the things that you can do with your character, I'm just kind of like scratching the surface, I think, of I think like the game is a little bit too easy, and the few boss encounters that I found so far are not that great, honestly. But I mean, I don't mind, because I think the best parts are always when you're having a conversation and you feel like the things that you're saying have an impact on the story.
And I think that's you're touching on where the game lacks. You know, like we said, with world building, graphics, detail, storytelling, voice acting. It's absolutely 10 out of 10. One of as good as games can be. The
Yeah,
gameplay is very basic, and I found the same thing. It's so easy. Like I even played it on one of the hardest difficulties at one point because I had to
yeah,
raise it, and there's too many. You're never out of health. Stim packs or whatever, so you can always hide behind cover and heal yourself back
yeah,
up to full abilities again. But you're right. I think in terms of what your character can do, when you reach the last sort of act of the game, you're sort of full powered and you can do crazy things with the character. And some of the gameplay stuff is so cool, depending on how you sort of whether you make your character a bruiser or you make him a hacker or something like that. It's yeah, it's so good. And it wasn't until I actually went back and played it again, I didn't realize that, when you're getting your cyber modifications done to your body,
yeah,
there's if you have a certain like hardware in your brain. It gives you special abilities, and one of them is like slows down time for 15
Yeah.
seconds.
I, I
Um,
I think I unlocked something like that yesterday when I was playing.
and and
Um,
those are so good. Or you can get one which makes you like a supreme hacker, and you can literally just hide in the corner of a room and kill like 20 dudes instantly. And it's so yeah, it's so much fun.
yeah, I'm trying to become kind of like that, and I always like to play stealthily because I feel like it's more appropriate in most like
Yeah,
missions to try to be quiet and only kill people when it's necessary. But then the game is so easy that when they discover you, there's no point in me kind of like reloading the save and redoing the mission again because
no.
I'm just gonna kill you and move on because there's
My first sort of build, I was just running around with a fucking katana and just murdering everybody, just
yeah.
sliding up to people and chopping them in pieces.
When I found the katana, I was like, this is gonna be my weapon for the rest of the game. Even though I was building a completely different character that doesn't really do
Yeah,
melee, and I had so much fun. I kept dying because I kept running into enemies just to slash them. And then I found this sniper rifle that kind of like auto aims, and now the
yeah.
game is just plays itself. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna stay here and slowly, dead.
And you can get
So yeah,
the cool tech pistols which can lock on and shoot around corners
yeah,
and like bounce off surfaces and stuff. Like they were really cool. There's a lot of cool weapons and cool mechanics within the game. Let's not get it wrong. We're talking very glowingly of this, but a lot of what CD Projekt were selling is not in this game. I remember, a lot of the early trailers and gameplay stuff, and they were like, this is going to be the most sophisticated police AI system in any game, and the police are
that's
going to be
not.
so good. The police are
Not even
terrible in the
now.
game.
Not even now that they
No,
fixed most of the problems. The
they never
police is
fixed the
still
police.
they they want to kill you. Like you even just like look at them wrong and they pull a gun on you. But if you run away, five
Yeah,
seconds later, stars are gone. You are back to basics. Like you
yeah.
can do whatever you want.
And
So
you can turn a corner in a road and say you've got like a 2-star wanted rating or whatever, and then you turn around even though there was nobody behind you a second ago, and you're down like a cordoned off alley. Now there's a police car there with a squad of police with policemen, and it's just like they've spawned into the area to come and get you. So
yeah.
that system's not done well, and like a lot of the world when you're just walking around feels quite empty of just general civilians,
Yeah, like cars. Like I guess they want the road to be free of cars so they can move more freely. But like it does feel a bit empty sometimes, and I feel like it
Yeah,
doesn't really sell that fantasy of like a bustling future city when there's like five cars around.
yeah,
So yeah, I agree with you. Some of the stuff is not. Is not great. I guess it's especially based on. It's such a shame that they had to rush the development and the release of the game and release it on older consoles when clearly this game was too big for a
yeah,
PS4 or old gen consoles. CD Projekt Red, they did The Witcher 3. Well, they did all the Witcher games, and The Witcher 3 was so rich in detail. It was so engaging in the characters, the secondary missions, and you can feel that same care put into this, even more so in certain moments. And I'm actually super curious to play this game again with a different character and make different choices because I feel so many of the missions and so many of the secondary missions too can change drastically based on your decision. I was just doing this random mission the other day when this guy wants to do this brain dance of him being crucifixed, and it was such a weird experience, and I felt like at so many points throughout that I could make a decision that would change the outcome of
yeah,
that mission drastically, and I felt that's very very interesting. And also I spoiled myself. Like there's this sequence that the all the missions with Takemura, right, that you are trying to uncover this mystery of the Arasaka Corporation and the murder of the leader of this corporation, and you are with this guy Takemura, which is one of my favorite side characters.
yeah. He was good.
And there's this amazing sequence where you have to sneak around a parade on these rooftops of the city, basically. These how do you call them?
It's like scaffolding, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. You need to go through like kind of like a rare platforming level where you need to reach these snipers and kill them before Takemura can do his thing. And it ends with this explosive sequence of events, and then like he gets shot, and I was like, no, I love Takemura, why? I didn't want him to die. And I went online, and I found out that you can do things differently so that he doesn't die. So I want to do that. Like, I want to go back
Yeah,
when I finish the game.
I was literally just thinking, I was like, oh, that's weird. Takamura didn't die in my playthrough.
You found it right away. Like, apparently there is when they attack the building where you are in with him and Hanako, I think is her name. You can either run away because Johnny tells you to run away immediately, or you can find your way back to the apartment where you were, and you can save him. And I didn't do that because I didn't know it was possible, and I feel so bad. But I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna save my guy Goro because
and those are the moments that games like that are so good at, where you you have to make a decision in a split second, and then you are literally playing for an hour, being like, I regret what I just did so much. Like,
I felt so bad.
It plays
man.
on it for ages. Yeah, and that sequence, I'm not sure if maybe it ended differently for you, but we fight like one of Saburo Arasaka, his sons, who's now taken over the Arasaka Corporation. His head bodyguard. You have like a boss battle with him, like in
It's Oda or
yes, Oda. That's it.
Oh yeah.
You fight Oda, and there's a really cool boss battle, and it has the backdrop of the parade, and like it's very like Skyfall. There's a sequence in Skyfall which is very similar to this,
with the jellyfish.
Yes, with
Here
the jellyfish
you have
in
a
the
dragon,
background.
a blue hologram of a dragon. Yes, no, I love the setting of that because you get there and your goal is to unplug this hacker guy, and you think that's gonna be over, and then Oda attacks you and you need to fight him. But again, going back to some of the issues that I'm finding with the game, I found the boss fight underwhelming because it's just he keeps regenerating his health, and you need to find ways to kind of like overheat his suit with your hacking, and then shoot him, and then he becomes invisible, and you need to find him in this level using the cameras that you can hack as well. So like there's a bunch of things that you can do to make the fight more interesting, but at the end of the day, he keeps regenerating, I keep regenerating, and so it becomes this very tedious uh, fight where I'm looking for him and trying to get enough health to deal enough damage so that he fucking dies finally. But then he disappears for a couple of minutes and he goes back to full health. I felt like, again, like the mechanics of these boss fights are not the best because I was enjoying the fight, but then it became like I was stuck there, and I wasn't even dying. Like, oh, I need to retry. You know, I kept I was alive, but I kept losing track of this guy. Maybe I was doing something wrong. I don't know.
I think I remember that I think he has that that implant where he can move super quick.
Yeah, and exactly. So I don't know, and now I'm saving up to install some fucking blades in my arms so that I can go around and slash people's faces.
Oh yeah, they're
So
cool. They're cool. Yeah, like I said, I think the game only falters with a lot of the combat mechanics, and it can ruin. You know, you're building up to this boss battle or this fight, and then I'm not gonna spoil it for you because I doubt you've got to this point in the main story. But there is a character who is within the lore is supposed to be the most badass cyberpunk character that's ever existed.
okay.
We build them up, and you fight him towards the very end of the game, and I fucking killed this guy in like 2 seconds, and was like, oh, this was the big bad, and it was super disappointing, and I almost wanted to just go back and fight him again, just like give him a bit more time because I felt bad.
Is it Adam Smasher? Is it the name?
It is Adam Smasher, yeah.
Yeah,
And
because
you
they
have a
keep teasing him, so I'm guessing if that's him. Like, oh, this
yeah,
guy is the one who killed Johnny as well. So like, it's the
yes.
main guy. Um,
And you obviously see him at the beginning. He has he has a cool introduction when when you're hiding in that, which is a great sequence when you're hiding in that
oh
TV
my
screen and
god,
you get to see the death of Arasaka. It was amazing.
dude! Like the first 5 hours, I was just because I kept thinking, oh, this is the tutorial. It's very polished, very cool.
I
When
mean,
are
it
you
kind of
gonna?
is up until Jackie's death. That is
Yeah,
kind of like
yeah,
the
because
tutorial of the game, which is crazy.
I felt like the tutorial was the first mission where you then meet Jackie, and then there's this kind of like flash forward or like this montage of moments where you kind of like establish that you've been working with Jackie for a few months. And then I felt like that was the beginning of the game proper. But then I realized, no, actually, the tutorial is still happening. I'm still being introduced to new systems, the brain dance, the detective work with like the recordings, and then the planning of the heist. And every time you are planning a heist is so hype. Like they do
Yeah.
this cinematic where they show you where you need to go, and maybe you have like drone footage that you can analyze and scan things. It's just so immersive, so cool. And when I was playing that heist in the Arasaka Tower, I felt like, oh, this is what the game is. And in a way it is, but like it's also introducing you to how the game is gonna work after Jackie, after Johnny Silverhand, after all the things that need to happen for you to kind of like become the V that you like, this character who's gonna become a legend, I guess. I hope I will become a legend in Night City. So yeah, it's so well done. The beginning is just it's chef's kiss, man. I kept thinking, oh, this is where the game kind of like is gonna just let me do my thing. But no, it kept. And the way they introduce new missions and the people call you, and based on your reputation they address you in a certain way. It's just, I don't know, it's one of those things where minor gripes with the gameplay
Oh no, not
can't
at all.
bring down my enjoyment of this.
No,
It's
no,
just it's
no.
just incredible.
And you get it's a game like maybe Witcher does balances the gameplay and the story better, but for this one, like you said, the story is so damn good that I was not fussed about any little things like that. And let me tell you something. Maybe you haven't heard this, but I think this is fairly known, or it might still be an unconfirmed bit of a rumor about Cyberpunk, but Johnny Silverhand, the character, was brought on quite late in the development, and Keanu
Oh,
Reeves was brought on quite late in the development, and the story was going to be very different. And it wasn't until they realized sort of how good this dynamic with you and Johnny was going to be that they changed pretty much the whole game to be about you and Johnny. And actually Jackie, there's a bit when we do a flash forward of you and Jackie, all these different adventures you've gone on,
yeah,
and it
that was supposed
feels
to be the
like
game.
yes, yeah. Apparently, that was supposed to be a large portion of the game, and you're actually doing all these things with Jackie, and Jackie dies much later on. But once they realized sort of the value of having Keanu Reeves in it, or like how good they thought that would be, they changed it a lot. And hey, I think it was it's not a bad choice. It's not a. But I remember when I was first playing through that opening section, and we skipped through all that stuff with Jackie. I was like, oh, I want to
Yeah,
do
that
all
was
that.
weird. Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
I want to go back and do all that stuff. So
That's why I thought that was the end of kind of like the tutorial, because it felt like you were transitioning into like an established dynamic of you and Jackie going on missions. And of course you're gonna do missions on your own, but he was gonna be your buddy for the whole game. And then shit hits the fan, and that's not true anymore.
So that
But
kind of makes sense. Like I can see that and how that kind of situation would play out. But hey, it's not a detriment necessarily to the story, because Jackie's death is it's very heartfelt and it's shocking, and even though you haven't had loads of time with him, like you don't want him to go as a character, and then
yeah,
they start establishing your relationship with all these other characters, and you're not yearning to be like, oh no, it was so much better when I was with Jackie and stuff. Like it's still
yeah.
great.
I agree. That there is one storyline that I'm kind of mixed on, and I guess I need to see how it resolves. But like, it's the whole thing with Johnny Silverhand and his ex, who is like this super hot blonde lady, who becomes this like incredibly advanced artificial intelligence.
Alt Cunningham.
Exactly. Like, you need to go find her in the cyberspace, and you see this silhouette. Like, she still has that silhouette of a woman in the cyberspace, but she has ascended to a higher level of consciousness. She's an AI now, and she needs to get through a black wall to kind of like hack into the systems of Arasaka, or I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
But like that whole bit was a bit like, it was too much. I don't know. I feel like, human consciousness. I guess, the game plays
It's
a
trying.
lot
It's
with
it's trying
this.
to deal with. It's trying to deal with some big things in AI and consciousness and stuff. And well, yeah. I mean, if you are quite close to the end of the story then when they start introducing that stuff.
Okay, but I felt like that
Well,
there's a
I'll tell
lot
you,
of
Tommy, that becomes very prevalent. So
yeah.
you
I
best
don't
start
know.
liking it.
Okay, because I don't know. I felt like I can buy no the idea of a construct, of like a digital construct of a personality, kind of like living inside someone's head, like
Totally.
Johnny. But
In
like,
this world, it makes sense.
yeah, but when you're telling me, oh, this woman who died 50 years ago is actually living as an AI inside this cyberspace, and she's become so advanced and incredible, and people want to use her for different reasons, and I'm like, okay, you're kind of losing me here. It's a bit much, but
Yeah, fair.
I don't
I
know.
see. I didn't dislike any of that stuff. I thought it was still interesting. But I know what you mean. It was, and that's why I said the first couple acts are better because we're dealing with more street level stuff and
Yeah,
general like, oh, how do you get around living in a place like Night City? And also, there's this background of I'm losing my mind because these two personalities are melding together, and I thought that dynamic worked really well. But yeah, that is kind of like a big crux of the story, that Alt Cunningham storyline. So, but you'll see what they
okay.
do with it. It's not. I think it was still good.
I'm sure I'll enjoy it.
Something that has to be said because I still listen to it to this day. But the soundtrack of the game is the best soundtrack to any game. I'll happily say this, that I've ever played.
Yeah, it's really good. I keep pulling out my phone while I'm playing, shazamming fucking songs and putting them
Ah,
in my
it's
playlist.
and
So
they're all originally made for the game. Like there's no songs that weren't made for Cyberpunk, other than maybe one. I think the rest of it, they brought in loads of different artists and they all made original music. Like when you're listening to the radio stations, they're all bands that have come in and made songs for Night City. And then the guy is the Polish guy who does the score, who does the actual score for all the scenes of the games, and
yeah.
his score is absolutely unreal. Like there are some moments in the game where like the intensity of the score is like, this is some of the best fucking scoring of anything I've ever seen.
Dude, just like some conversations that you have, and the score kind of building up. And again, like that sequence with the parade just comes to mind, that there's like this music that keeps going up in intensity as you progress through the level, and it then it explodes with the boss fight. And even as I said, I wasn't really enjoying the boss fight that much, but the music and the presentation and everything was just like, yes, please, more of this, inject this into my eyes right now.
Yeah, yeah. It's
um
funny. I think if you go on like, because like I said, especially when I'm like working and I want something to listen to in the background, I always chuck on the Cyberpunk score. And like I'm pretty sure like the top comment, if you listen to the whole album on YouTube, the top comment is like, "Oh, CD Projekt Red just dropped this game early because they knew they had like the best fucking album made ever. So they were like, oh, we don't care about the game. I just want to drop this sick album."
it's so nice for CD Projekt Red to attach a game to this album that I love.
Yeah, no, legit. Um, and
Yeah.
this kind of brings me, because there's one song I actually particularly love. I can't exactly remember what it's called now, but there's and you would have played this bit because it's quite early in the game. like you and Jackie have to go pick up this little robot, this little kind of drone robot from the Maelstrom gang.
Well, shit. Goes for you too.
I'll stand.
This so fucking hard? Fucking ass on the fucking couch!
Make me.
Thought you'd never ask. See you as dead.
Sit down.
This ain't gonna end well, but... Shit.
Well, alright.
It's the mission before the big heist.
Yeah, it's a setup for the heist, and like the Maelstrom gang are really cool in the way they look. Like their heads are like caved in, and they're just like lights there. So look, like visually they're amazing. And then we have this scene where we sit down, and this guy called Brick comes in, and he's like, "Yo, sit down on the couch," and then you can, and this scene can actually play out in so many different ways. Like you can just get up and kill this guy, and you never get the follow-up cutscene afterwards. But there is this piece of score kicks in as it's forcing you to, make your decision. Do you sit down and accept the deal because these guys are trying to screw you over? They want more payment for the thing you've already bought off them, or do you just get up and you and Jackie just blast these guys away? And there is, like I said, there's a piece of score in this scene which is unreal, and it's one of the best scenes I've ever played in a game like that. Just the way it played out, the visuals of it, and then you get to meet that Royce.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, so many memorable characters, and the designs of the characters, they're so distinct. Even just random people on the street. Yes, you're gonna run into the same models more than a few times, but just all of them, they're so well done, and like the way like the city feels alive, like based on the district you're in, and you're walking around and characters are behaving in a certain way. If you are like in Jig Street, which is like this kind of like red light district place, you're gonna find a bunch of people kind of like loitering around and like clearly drunk and leaning against the wall or leaning on each other, or throwing up in an alley. It's just, I don't know, man. It really feels like a real place, even though, as we said, there are a few blemishes to this simulation. But I don't know. As you said it best before. It's one of the most well realized video game spaces that I've ever experienced in my life. It's and I'm so glad that it is this good, because I've been waiting to play this game for so long, and finally I'm playing it, and it's as good as I hoped it would be.
I tell you what, even playing a very bad version of the game when it first came out, I was still holding it in as high regard. Honestly, I was still absolutely loving it, and that's just all testament to the people who built the world and designed everything in the world. Because even with like game breaking bugs, and at points like I had all my civilians, they were walking around with like out heads, or they're all like T-posing around Night City, and it's like, this should ruin it for me, but I'm still so invested.
It's a simulation, man. Just trying to justify the brokenness of the game.
And I'm so glad it was a massive success, because I want more from this world. I think this is one of the best like depictions of, like that Cyberpunk has become a genre now, and I think it's the best depiction of that world there is, and it's so interesting, and there's so much little things, and I'm sure there's been some books written about Cyberpunk and some extra lore stuff, but like you have trauma team, like you have this team of SWAT guys that come down, and if you're on like a particular health package, like they will get to you. They'll get to you immediately.
Like when you have to save the lady in the tub. Yeah,
exactly. And like there, and like even just that, and you barely see them, you're like, that's so interesting. Like I would like to know more about them. And that you said you get the brain dances, and I think maybe one thing the game also lacked, which they kind of advertised they would do, is when you're getting more body modifications, you should feel there should be a moral dilemma. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It should
you
be
become
like,
more machine than man.
Exactly, and you're enhancing, and it's something they do really well. Have you seen Edge
The
Runners?
the Runner TV show, yes, I love
Yes,
that. So well done.
that's kind of the whole crux. Is like, if you have too many body modifications, you're going to go cyber psycho, and so it's all about, should you stay more man or more machine? And the game didn't really do that well in the mechanics. Like, I just got all the modifications I possibly could and became an absolute beast, and that was it.
Yeah, I think they could do more with the moral implication of making these kind of decisions. I guess they didn't have time, and now that they fix the game, they want to keep these ideas for the next one. I don't know. Yes, I was kind of hoping, and now you're telling me that this doesn't happen. I was hoping for the game to address this in some, maybe some secondary mission, but I guess it doesn't really go into
No,
that.
I think because your character V is just dealing with the ticking time clock of, you're getting sicker and sicker from Johnny Silverhand's brain
Yeah,
melding with yours or whatever. That is the dilemma you're dealing with, and it's never anything about, oh, how many cyber enhancements should I have?
yeah. I
Yeah,
need all of them.
yeah. Whereas
uh,
like we said, Edge Runners deals with that so well, and it's like really well done in Edge Runners. And yeah,
yeah,
and it comes to a head. It comes to a conclusion that it should do, because there's only, I think, certain characters in this world, like an Atom Smasher, who can handle, for whatever reason, being almost all machine.
yeah.
But for most people, it just absolutely destroys their mind.
I want to rewatch the show with the added context of the game, because I watched it, and for the longest time that was my only knowledge of the Cyberpunk universe.
Oh,
But now that
you watched the show before you played the game.
yeah, I watched it
Okay.
like when it came out, because everyone was saying it was good, and
Yeah.
it was really good. But yeah, just a quick note on the game. Again, as I said, the side missions are all so very good, and I remember when, remember Delamain, the automated taxi cabs.
Oh, again, so good.
It's
Like,
so
that's
fun, like,
great.
just a side character that like doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, but it's such a great addition. It's so funny, and when I
It
got
was very
his,
reminiscent of have you seen Total Recall?
yes,
The
yeah,
Johnny
sure,
the Johnny cab in Total Recall, like, it was very similar to that, and I like that.
that's true. But like again, the attention to detail, because you get this mission where you have to help Delamain retrieve these cars that have disconnected from his network, right?
Yes.
And you need to go around Night City and find these cabs. And I found my first one, just like I was driving around, and I kind of like came across it, and it was a chase. It was like, oh, I need to chase this cab for a while until it stops, and then Delamain will be able to scan it and reinstate it in its network, right? And I was thinking, oh, okay, so this is gonna be a secondary mission where every time I see a cab, I need to run after it, and then at some point, Delamain will scan it and the mission will be over. But no, every single cab is different. You
Has a
have
different personality.
some of them you need to convince with a conversation. Some of them, they're afraid, they want to kind of like kill themselves because they have like this
Yes.
this this this
There's
dread.
there's one
uh,
of the cabs is having like an existential
yeah,
crisis, isn't it?
it wants to
Yeah.
throw itself off a bridge, and you have to
Yeah,
convince
yeah.
it not to do it. Another one calls goons to kill you, and you have to, there's a shootout. Like, it's and this is just like one of many secondary missions that you could just ignore, and it's so fun. It's so well done, man. It's
Like
really
you said, the attention to detail is crazy, because in a shittier, lazier game, like you said, that's exactly what they'd do. This
yeah,
would just
copy
be
pasted mission. Yeah,
a chase and retrieve mission just to fill up your time. But yeah, they don't do that in here. They take care and account with each of the stories. I don't know whether you played the another side subplot story that was really good. You go to this guy. I think he's running for mayor.
oh yeah,
You go
you
to
need
their
to
house.
investigate.
Yeah, and they think somebody's spying on them, and you discover, like, in the house they've built, there's this secret room, and literally, like, people are watching every move they make.
I didn't get that, thank you.
Have you not seen that yet?
No, I think he called me to go to his house because he needs my help. But the first part of the mission was investigating the death of the mayor. That
Yes.
kind of
Okay.
like
Well, I
leads,
mean,
but
that hasn't given you any spoilers anyway,
no, it's
really.
fine. It's fine.
But that again goes so deep, that side story, that it's like, oh my god, you could make a whole nother game just based on what this story is about. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fucking, it's absolutely fascinating, man. It's so damn good. Yeah, obviously the game was a massive success. It did really well financially. You know, the Netflix spin-off did really well. Was quite revered. The DLCs also performed well. People really rated it. So hopefully, I think they've got something in the works called Orion, which is going to be a follow-up to
So okay, you mentioned
Cyberpunk.
this, and I want to ask you because I thought that Phantom Liberty was gonna be their one and only DLC for Cyberpunk, but apparently you told me that there's more to come. That like they're still working on additional material.
It was like a week or two ago. I saw a couple people had done some postings about, there must have been some CD Projekt Red event, and a woman who works at CDPR basically said, "Oh, you know, Cyberpunk's not done yet. We've got a few little more surprises to come for you." So, and then somebody did some data
Nice.
mining, and they found that there's 5 characters which are about to be added to Night City. So this could be another DLC which sets up the second game, which I think they're going to be working on soon. But yeah, and a lot of people are speculating it's going to be some of those characters we see from the Edge Runners animated series, and we'll get maybe a little DLC with them.
Nice.
But
I mean, that's pretty
which
popular,
would be awesome.
so it would be a good move because everyone loved that show and Lucy and all those characters. So
Yeah, and the world of Night City and Cyberpunk has like infinite potential, I feel like.
yeah, and I had a thought the other day while I was just riding around. It reminded me of the feeling that I had as a kid when I was playing Jack 2, because I know you played these games. You know, Jack and Dexter 2? You ever
Oh
played
right,
that?
okay. Yeah.
There's like, it's a similar kind of like futuristic city with slums, and of course it's a PS2 game, so it's not the same. I was like, oh man, it would be so good if they did a Jack and Daxter remake with today's graphics, and we could have like a city like this. But yeah, I'm digressing. But yeah, it reminded me of a feeling that I rarely feel when I play games as an adult, which is a very good thing indeed.
Yeah,
Uh,
pure escapism. Like yeah, there were points, I think when I first locked into the game, I probably was like sat down and just played it straight without turning away for like 3 or 4 hours. And it was just like, I am so immersed in this world, like like you said, like I haven't been in a game for as long as, you know, maybe like a Red Dead Redemption 2 was the last thing that was that immersive.
the last game that I liked this much, I think, was Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's another good one. Also very immersive.
so highly recommend if you haven't played this. But as I said, probably I'm the only one on planet Earth who wanted to play this game and didn't play it yet. So yeah, it's a recommendation that falls on deaf ears. It's a good game, and everyone knows that. Unfortunately, it released in a broken state, but they fixed most of the problems. I'm still encountering a few bugs here and there, but I mean, with a game this detailed, some bugs are just to be expected. So
Yeah. And great games allowed for that. Like Skyrim was filled with bugs, you know, for years after it came out, and people still absolutely revere it because it doesn't matter when the dialogue and the voice actors and the performances and the world building so good. Those things don't hit you as hard. And yeah, like I said, hopefully there's loads more to come from this world. Like I would love a more animated series and maybe even some live action stuff. I think there's so much potential for Cyberpunk.
agreed.